It is getting to that time of the year where rumors and speculation are running wild about what will be taking place at WrestleMania. What are the bigger names going to be doing at WrestleMania? And the biggest name of all right now, the man on everybody's minds, is The Rock. What is The Rock going to be doing at WrestleMania? Will he be at WrestleMania? Well, if you are a clickbait journalist and dirt sheet, The Rock is not planned for WrestleMania 41. Gee, man, I don't know how anybody pays for this complete garbage. We'll talk about what The Rock should be doing at WrestleMania and why The Rock will be at WrestleMania 41. Top WWE star finalizing a brand new long-term extension, and we got that today on Off the Script. Juice Robinson out of the Continental Classic, and Tony Khan replaces him with somebody that you are not going to be surprised by whatsoever. Nick Khan says WWE content will remain family-friendly on Netflix when they start on January 6th, and all that and so much more right here on Off the Script. We will start with Juice Robinson. He's out of the Continental Classic. Tony Khan has announced his replacement, and Juice is out because he has a potential broken foot, which he wrestled his first Continental Classic match this past week against Will Ospreay on Collision, and it is due to a potential broken foot. The injury sustained during his loss to Will Ospreay has forced Robinson out of the tournament, and stepping in to fill the vacant spot is AEW fan favorite, Tony Khan fan favorite, Commander. Oh, my goodness, man. Commander is now in the Continental Classic. Is this the Continental Classic that I was promised that would have the world's greatest professional wrestlers wrestling over wrestling's greatest prize, right? Sounds like more it's the Tony Continental Classic. So now we got the Beast Mortos and Commander in the tournament. Now, you know, if Hologram was not injured, Hologram would have already been a part of the original field of 12 in the tournament. And if he wasn't in the original field of 12 and an injury did occur, Hologram probably would have been slotted right in there to take Juice Robinson's spot in the Continental Classic. Now, Tony Khan announced this news on X, stating that Commander, as the first alternate for the Gold League, will assume Robinson's remaining schedule. This means Commander now faces a challenging road ahead with matches against Ricochet, Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, and Darby Allin. Robinson's injury occurred during his match with Will Ospreay, taped for the November 29th episode of Collision, which, by the way, nobody watched because everybody was watching Survivor Series, so good on that. He was later seen using crutches at WrestleCade over the weekend, and as of Monday, was still waiting for the results of an X-ray. Gee, man, how to kill an interest or people's interests in a tournament very quickly. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from Commander. I'm not. Commander is, one of those guys that's going to go out there and wow the crowd, dazzle the crowd. There's no real in-ring psychology. There's no emotion there. It's just, it's just Lucha Libre. Tony Khan loves his Lucha Libre, so much so they dedicated AEW Rampage this past weekend to Lucha Libre for the entire hour. That's what he wants. That's what he does. But as far as the tournament is concerned, I see a lot of people in the narrative, it doesn't matter who Tony Khan put in there. Whoever he was going to put in there is basically going to eat L's for the rest of the tournament because that's what Juice Robinson's original role was. So he's not going to pick anybody that is a little bit more higher up on the card and really kind of bury them when the original vision was Juice not really going to win matches. So he replaced him with somebody else that's not going to win matches. That sounds ridiculous to me. I don't understand the narrative and the logic of people in the community, especially the AEW side of things. So you mean to tell me, the way that I look at it is, you mean to tell me that you build a tournament not with the best talent in the entire wrestling industry, not with the best talent that's fighting over the biggest prize. This is a substantial amount of television time, and the prize should be bigger instead of for the lowly Continental Classic, which Okada has done nothing with. I mean, if we're being honest, this is 4 weeks of a tournament that will end at the last pay-per-view for the year for AEW. The way that I look at it is it should be the company's best 12 with no real hang-up on who wins and who loses. You're booking a tournament and putting people in the tournament with the idea of, who on my roster could take L's? Who on my roster can go into the biggest tournament that the company does all year, something that you are claiming is better than the G1 Climax from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you're booking with the mentality of who can I put in there to lose? Shouldn't we be booking this with the 12 best and no hang-ups on wins and losses? I don't understand it. It's like you want it to come off as a big competition. You want it to come off with the standings and points and semifinals and leagues and all this other nonsense. And then you want to go and muddy it up with, who can I put in there to lose? It's just very bizarre to me, man. It really is. I mean, whatever. Commander's going to be in the tournament. I'm sure people will be wowed and dazzled with his aerial abilities and all this other nonsense. But am I interested in seeing Commander take a spot in the 12 that are already in this tournament? The answer is no. Not like Juice Robinson was going to do anything, but I just find it to be very weird how people are like, well, who did you expect him to place? Who did you expect Tony Khan to replace him with? I don't know, somebody that's actually worth something that's going to make me more interested in the tournament instead of somebody that you've used as comedy bullshit and a loser on AEW television. He's not someone that people take seriously. He's only in there to feed the rest of the roster and take L's, man. But that's what you guys want. That's what the sickos want. Tony Khan is bending over backwards for the sickos. Enjoy your Continental Classic game. My feeling on it is going to be different than everybody else. I just don't feel like thinking with that mentality is making the Continental Classic feel important. Speaking of another Khan, Nick Khan, the real Khan. WWE content will remain family-friendly on Netflix. This has also caused some indifference on social media today with this news coming out of yesterday's junket that WWE held with Netflix. Just over a month to go before Raw moves to Netflix, WWE and Netflix executives held a media event on Tuesday. The event took place from Netflix headquarters in California and included a discussion with representatives from both companies. During the panel, WWE President Nick Khan confirmed that there are no plans to change Raw's advertiser rating for it to become an edgier show, all because they're moving away from cable to streaming on Netflix. It will remain family-friendly content. He says, and I quote, "We're not changing the rating of our programming. So there's some online chatter about, it's going to be R-rated, or for us old folks, X-rated. That's definitely not happening. It's family-friendly, multi-generational, advertiser-friendly programming. It's going to stay that way. I would look for more global flair, especially as the relationship continues to develop. Countries outside the United States are as important to us as the United States is. So we have certain targeted countries that are priorities for Netflix. They are priorities for us. You're going to see more of that, and I think that's the way you'll see a bit of a difference. Now, we'll stop there because they did go on to address the streaming issues that were occurring during the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. So we'll stop here at Nick Khan. I don't see why everybody is up in arms about this. I don't. You know, it's not like we are in the era of WWE where they were family-friendly and they aimed for the kid demographic and the family-friendly demographic, and they gave you family-friendly content. Vince McMahon did that. Triple H has not. Not one single bit yet. The shows are so much better than they were 2 years ago. And you see it every single week. Look at, people are still talking about what happened on Monday Night Raw last night, just based off the sheer story that everybody is invested in, from the top of what we've seen on Monday night to the New Day, and then Drew McIntyre showing up at the end of the show? Does it need to be X-rated? Who's asking and who is anticipating WWE going to X-rated or R-rated? They were never going to go X-rated. I think people are disappointed that they're not going to TV 14 and they're not going to push the envelope just a little bit. Not to say that we're not going to see that, but up and down the show for 3 hours, you're not going to see fuck, shit, curse words left and right. You're not going to see blood in every fucking match. You're not going to see people beating the shit out of each other with random weapons like AEW usually does on a week-by-week basis. You're not going to see that. WWE doesn't need to do that. Why would they risk being the hottest ticket in town? Why would they risk everybody who wants to be on board, all the advertisement money that they're getting? Look at the ring mat. Look at the turnbuckle pads. Look at how many advertisements there are during a major PLE. This one sponsoring this match and that one sponsoring that match. WWE is not going to put themselves in a situation where they are going to risk losing any of these advertisers at all. The show is better than it was 2 years ago. They don't need to do all that hokey bullshit just to appease a small portion of their audience. The television show has already geared itself towards adults. It's not insulting your intelligence. Is it perfect? No. Could it be just a little bit more edgier? Sure. But that's why you got characters like CM Punk and Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre and guys like that. Guys like that are going to bring that level of what you want to television. There's going to be a certain pocket of talent on the WWE shows that we watch that are going to be able to bring that intensity up that you want with the TV rating. They are going to do that, and they're going to give you the content that you need. But most of the time you're watching a program geared towards adults. It is so much more adult-based now than it was when Vince was running it. Vince just went out of his way to make hokey, fucking absolute cringy garbage. You don't see that most of the time at all on WWE television nowadays. So the rating doesn't really mean much of anything. They are going to push the envelope as much as they can. They are not going to come out here in front of Netflix executives and say, yeah, man, we're going to push the envelope. We're going to, do what we got to do. WWE is going to take it by a show-by-show, case-by-case, story-by-story basis. If something calls for it, they are open to it. If something needs it, they will discuss it, and they will, advance as far as they need to. Just look at CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Did you ever think that we'd see that amount of violence and that amount of blood inside Hell in a Cell? They'll save that shit for the PLE, and when a story like that needs something, they are more than willing to accommodate. I don't see this to be a big deal whatsoever as far as what Nick Khan said as the TV rating, pushing the envelope on Netflix. They're not going to outwardly come out and say it. Nick Khan is not going to outwardly come out and say it. He'll leave it to Triple H, and he trusts Triple H and the process that Triple H is taking with creative to do what's best for the product. If it needs it, then we'll do it. If not, we're not going to overbear and, bring the hammer down on everybody and abuse, what we don't really need to abuse and then risk advertisements at the end of the day. They're not going to do that. So as far as the streaming, because everybody was wondering what's going to happen with Raw, Jake Paul, and Mike Tyson, and all of the streaming issues that occurred during that mega boxing match a couple weeks ago, Netflix said, whenever we do live events, we want it to go smoothly for every single one of our members. That's really important. Also, to put it into perspective, it was 65 million concurrent streams. It was a very successful night. A lot of people watched. The scale was very big, which is great. There was a lot of interest in it. We expected a big number for sure. It was a big number, but again, you don't know, and you can't learn these things until you do them. So you take a big swing. Our teams and our engineers are amazing, moved super quickly and stabilized it. And many of the members had it backed up and running pretty quickly. But we learned from those things. And we've obviously all done a lot of stuff to learn and to get ready for the NFL and Beyonce at halftime. And so we're totally ready and excited for WWE. I don't really think there's going to be a problem. And I do think that they will get everything under control and where it needs to be before January 6th. And everybody flipping out and freaking out, it was all for nothing. WWE's not going to have 65 million concurrent streams like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson for the debut on Netflix. So it's going to be a much lower scale. And I do think everything is going to be where it needs to be, and there's not going to be many issues whatsoever. Raw is potentially going back to 3 hours, and Triple H did say that everybody will find out what Monday Night Raw will be as far as time-wise and length-wise when we get to January 6th. So I don't think WWE even knows. And like I said, and what a lot of people have stated, they have a 3-hour block. Will they abuse it and go all 3 hours on some weeks if it calls for it? Sure. If some weeks don't call for 3 hours, they could go 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care where it is as long as the shows are good like they were on Monday night, and we are all satisfied at the end of what we are watching. Raw is the only weekly WWE programming that will air on Netflix in the United States, but international markets are getting a more expansive array of WWE content. Khan addressed whether PLEs could move to Netflix in the United States when the deal with Peacock is up. He said, Peacock is our incumbent partner, and we're always going to respect our incumbents' rights in the relationship we have there. So we'll have those conversations with them in 2025, and we'll see what shakes up. Talent that were there, Becky Lynch was there. She will be on the Monday Night Raw on Netflix debut January 6th. CM Punk, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion, all were in attendance at this media event between Netflix and WWE. Going to be an exciting time. Triple H was also quoted saying that they are looking at January 6th as a WrestleMania-like event, man. It is going to be the biggest Monday Night Raw of all time. And I can't wait to share my excitement with you right here live, man. I will be live as live could be when we go live January 6th for that first show of the year, man. I'm looking for OTS to start the year off with a boom. No pun intended. Moving on. The Rock. The Rock is not planned to wrestle at WrestleMania 41, says the clickbait Dirtsheets and the journalists in the community. Much has been discussed about whether The Rock will be at WrestleMania 41 after he returns earlier this year. He originally planted the seeds to do Roman Reigns and Rock at WrestleMania 40 in January before plans changed. As you guys know, it was a very tumultuous time in WWE. Rock pivoted with a heel turn and alliance with the Bloodline. It set the stage for Rock and Reigns to beat Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40, night one. Since then, Rock and Rhodes have publicly teased doing a match in Las Vegas at WrestleMania 41. For months, it's been believed that WWE still plans to do Rhodes versus Rock at Mania 41, with the idea of Rock versus Reigns happening potentially at SummerSlam. Rock's last appearance came at Bad Blood when he did the fabled 3 and then the throat slash at the end of the show and then walked away. It's been reported that The Rock wasn't scheduled for WrestleMania 41 next April and gave word that he wouldn't be able to do a match. Rock later responded in an Instagram post saying, "Don't believe any of that bullshit." Now, Chris Featherstone, who legitimately came out of nowhere, I've just seen this guy now pop up in the last 72 hours on social media. Apparently, he's broken stories in the past. Reports that WWE has opted to move forward with his creative plans as if Rock will not appear at WrestleMania 41. The plans can change at any time, obviously, and WWE is definitely interested in using him if he does become available. Sapp followed up with a tweet noting, ultimately, The Rock can do whatever he wants, but Featherstone's report is accurate. None of these reports are accurate. The only thing that's accurate is The Rock does what he wants. Plans change anytime, and The Rock is going to be able to do whatever he wants. He's already came out and debunked Dave Meltzer's original report by saying in an Instagram post, "Don't believe the bullshit." I'm going to go based on what Rock says instead of what Chris Featherstone or Sean Ross Sapp have to say. The Rock is going to be potentially, I don't know for sure, The Rock is going to potentially be at Saturday night's main event. The Rock will absolutely 100%, no bullshit, be at Monday Night Raw, January 6th on Netflix. If you don't think he's going to be there, you're fucking delusional. He's going to be there. The road to WrestleMania begins then, not the Royal Rumble. He will be there. He will be at WrestleMania. I don't know why this is an issue, why this is a topic, why people are talking about this as this is legit credibility and legit story. The one thing that you all need to understand, is that The Rock is not going to let anybody know what The Rock is going to do. There's only 3 people on this fucking planet that The Rock told plans to. Only 3 people on planet Earth that know what The Rock is doing at WrestleMania. The Rock himself, Nick Khan, and Brian Gewirtz. That's it. I wouldn't even be surprised if Triple H knows at this moment. Triple H will know when Rock gets to the building. That's when Triple H will know. So that would make 4. But 3 right now. Rock himself, Brian Gewirtz, his head writer, and Nick Khan. That is it. And nobody, not Sapp, not Mike Johnson, not Dave Meltzer, not Chris Featherstone, none of these people have any relations with anybody in Rock's camp. Not a single fucking one. On top of that, all his agents, all his media, all his fucking management people. You think these people are going to be talking to fucking Fightful and Chris Featherstone with fucking 2,000 followers on social media? Give me a fucking break. The Rock will be at WrestleMania, and he will be wrestling at WrestleMania. And if he's not, you're a gullible fucking geek. He will be there. And everything that we've seen from The Rock so far lines up with what we've seen so far on WWE television. He will be there. No question. I'm not really anticipating anything else but a Rock WrestleMania match. He will be there. And finally, guys, delusion has seeped in even more so to the AEW locker room. Dustin Rhodes, he goes on social media to cry because Tony Khan had to rile up the soldiers, the AEW soldiers, man, the AEW sickos. Please stop the constant attacking towards AEW. Dustin Rhodes tweeted this out. Look at this guy. Unbelievable. Here's a thought. Just enjoy wrestling. Please stop the constant attacking and vitriol towards AEW. We have the most passionate wrestlers in the world. We do this for you. Hashtag I'm with AEW. And I love watching all wrestling. Oh, man, Dustin Rhodes. Oh, my goodness, man. Look up delusion in the dictionary. You'll find everybody who works at AEW right next to the definition. Some fans have reacted negatively towards AEW this year, rightfully so, as the company is experiencing a downturn in ratings, attendance, overall interest, and every other fucking metric that you could possibly conceive. However, AEW is a needed alternative to WWE. They once were the alternative. They are no longer the alternative. In the wrestling business, staff and fans, the promotion took off in 2019 due to frustration amongst fans with the current Vince McMahon product at the time, which only turned around once Triple H took over, and now people feel like they don't need AEW. Dustin Rhodes put this tweet out, and like I said, they want the vitriol and constant attacking to stop towards AEW. They live in a bubble. They live in their own echo chamber. Most of them have already migrated to Blue Sky because they don't need to hear. They don't want to hear. They have no interest in hearing anything that's wrong with the company. They don't want to hear any criticism whatsoever. Good, go over there. Don't come back. Us real fans will continue to push for change in the company. Now, I don't know how many of the sickos have identified the problems within AEW. If you have, good on you, man. You're one of the smart ones. Don't get sucked into the vortex known as the fucking half-witted idiots over in the AEW camp, the sicko camp. Don't do it. I don't understand how the company, actually I do understand, but I don't really understand what type of business model this is. To just ignore all the problems and have one of your most trusted soldiers go out there and claim, stop. Everybody loves wrestling. We all love wrestling. We got a great roster. We do this for you. Are we not supposed to voice our criticism when something is obviously not feeling the same? Do you want us to just sit there and accept what you're giving us with no complaints whatsoever? What type of real fan would that be? A real fan would obviously notice the change. A real fan would notice the problems. A real fan would voice concern about those problems and want to see the company change and fix the problems for the better. This tweet doesn't really address any of that. Stop. It's unfair. We don't deserve your attacking. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Everything's great. Tony Khan acts like everything's great. Tony Khan like a petulant child on social media fucking tweeting 12 times within the hour. Please watch Dynamite. It's going to be a great show. The Continental Classic is going to produce some bangers. It's going to be a great night of television on TBS and TNT at 8 p.m. Eastern. Nobody wants to hear that. You've driven half the fucking audience away, more than half the audience away, with your bullshit, and you're refusing to change. This is only going to drive people further away. You love pro wrestling. Give me a fucking break. You do this for us. No, you don't. You do it for Tony. Tony does it for himself. The world goes round and round. I don't know how many times I got to explain this to you. Everybody is finding a problem. Most of us smart ones are finding a problem with AEW. If you don't expect us to voice our criticisms and our concern about how the show does not look, that it does not feel the same, I don't know what the fuck you're expecting people to do. I really don't get it. Just own up to your problems, own up to your mistakes, own up to the fact that your owner, your boss, your CEO, your head of creative is a clueless fucking hack, and address the fucking problems. If you don't address the problems, their ratings will be lower next year. Their interest will be lower next year. Nobody's going to give a shit. Look at World's End. They don't even have 5,000 tickets out for their last pay-per-view of the year. Granted, we're still 4 weeks away. But my God, man, an AEW pay-per-view, not even at 5,000 tickets sold, and we're in the month in which the pay-per-view is going to take place. No, but everything's great. Kenny Omega says everything's great. AEW Dynamite's running like clockwork. No, nothing is great. It's not great. This is a fucking delusional, half-witted idiot who's tweeting, stop the anger, stop the criticism, stop attacking, stop the vitriol towards us. I'm sorry, some people are fucking mentally deranged. I get it. But the good ones, people like us who want to see the product get better, are going to get angry when you continue to ignore the fucking problems that everybody sees on a weekly basis. There's no story. It looks lowbrow. Your commentary team is fucking terrible. The interest in the product is so low that nobody wants to watch. Your crowds are lifeless every fucking week. The list goes on and on. What else do I have to do? What else do I have to say on my end of things? What else do I have to say? Yeah, people still are going to blindly support, which is fine. But if you want real change, like I said, hit them where it hurts. Stop watching altogether. Live vicariously through podcasts like me and Jesse on Wednesday nights, who will give you the fucking facts right there, 100%, every single time. Stop buying merch. Their merch is awful anyway. I don't know who's buying merch nowadays in 2024. It's fucking terrible. Stop buying merch. Stop buying tickets to the shows, which a lot of people have already because there's nothing to invest in. Stop buying the pay-per-views. We haven't heard a single word on Full Gear's pay-per-view buy rates. Gee, I wonder why. Normally those numbers are out almost immediately. Someone at the scrum almost immediately asks Tony Khan what the buy rates are, and he usually gives an answer. He didn't give a fucking answer. We got no news on that whatsoever 2 weeks now after the pay-per-view has finished. Gee, I wonder why. Stop supporting the company. They will get the picture, and changes will appropriately need to be made. That's how you're going to hurt them. Just like in the video game scene, how many people, how many content creators continue to tell you, stop buying Call of Duty? There's more and more problems, and those problems get more offensive and more egregious and more blatant every single year. Stop buying and stop playing the fucking game. That is where you're going to hurt them most, and they will be forced to make change to the existing game to make it fit and make it feel better for the player base to get those players that they lost back playing their game. The magic is gone. The feeling of AEW is gone. If you think Dustin Rhodes, now I know he's not going to say anything, but if you think Dustin Rhodes is right here, there's no helping you, man. AEW is not being attacked for no reason. They're being attacked because their fucking show is terrible. Their stories, their storylines, their television show week to week is fucking terrible. If you don't expect fans to speak up about it, I'm sorry, man. We're going to be here every fucking week telling you exactly what it is. And we do this for you. No, you do it for Tony. And Tony does it for Tony. And Tony doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself and what he wants to see on television. That has become abundantly clear as the months and months and months went on. As we now go into 2025, nothing is changing with the company, and nothing will change as long as that man is in charge. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you did enjoy today's extra, please make sure you leave a comment down below. Hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes today on Off the Script. If you guys want to go check out the great content so far this month, Monday Night Raw, excellent discussion on Monday night. Go and check it out. We're live on Monday. Tuesday Night Titans, episode 75 with the Solid Monster. Great show last night. We discussed all the big topics in the world of pro wrestling, coming out of SmackDown into Survivor Series into Raw. Some AEW talk as well. Go check that out. And I'll be live tonight with Jesse for another great stream of AEW Dynamite and the post-show following tonight's Dynamite. Thank you guys very much. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on the way out. And please turn on the bell so you're notified of all the content that goes up weekly right here on the channel. I'll see you guys tonight live with Jesse for AEW Dynamite and the post-show right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.